Hello, happy Friday. It's good to see everybody here today. We're going to be answering lots of Amazon questions. You can ask me things like, how do I improve my PPC? What is SEO, catalog, design, and many other challenges that we all have as Amazon sellers. My name is Stephen Pope, and I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. First thing I'm going to start out with, we just made a little bit of a graphic change to our website. Just curious, what do you guys think? Does this look better than it used to? I just was trying to find a better way to explain like how we grow traffic and conversion as fast as possible. Programmed it so if you click on the PPC thing, it goes down to the PPC section and whatnot. Big fan of traction. I put my entire business model into a single graphic right here, and you can see all that good stuff. We'll jump right into your questions. But first, one other shout out. So we have a new landing page for PPC Jobs. So if you want to get hired at My Amazon Guy, and we have a huge following in Pakistan and many other countries, all focused on trying to get hired for PPC job. Just go to myamazonguy.com/PPC jobs, and you'll get all the instructions. We send you a culture index survey and a PPC test. All right, our first questions. We've got several. Thank you, Matt, for the $10 sticker today. If you want to become a member of our channel, we can't get to every single question. There's just too many. I get over 100 during the hour session. And I do prioritize those that are members or throw a sticker on. You can click the join button at youtube.com/myamazonguy. So we'll jump right into Matt's question here. And he's got a grumpy Gramps gnome who's sitting on the potty right here. Happy to see you, Stephen. I got Gramps out of the adult category. That part is not too bad. Glad to hear that, Matt. They still won't let me advertise, saying the campaign is not compliant with Amazon's advertising guidelines. Violates graphical sexual images. Any recommendations? So Matt, this is much harder than just a simple adult flag. An adult flag situation, you can get them out of the adult category fairly easy because a human review and they're like, yeah, it's not an adult product. I don't think you're going to succeed on this, unfortunately. The advertising department, once they make a ruling, this is specific to the advertising department, instead of it just being like the category team coming in and saying adult or non-adult, when the ads team makes a ruling, I have almost never seen them change it. And as one example, I'll show you my wine glass that I talk about on the channel frequently, the social distancing one. And I fought tooth and nail and lost to get this reinstated on advertising. So it's been banned since February of last year. It used to rank organically for #1 on the term wine glass and has since been banned. And I got all kinds of reasons out of the advertising team back and forth with these tickets. Lo and behold, it was the word drinking on the wine glass. And they said that promotes alcoholism, even though you could drink water out of this glass or whatever else. So the ads team has a very heavy hand, and the likelihood of you getting them to retreat from that position is almost non-existent. So what I would do if I were you, and I know you've had some parentages on the gnomes, and I'm not sure why you broke the parentages. There might be a reason for that. But what I would do is I would parent him with another item that is not banned from advertising. So that way you get some cursory sales moving over to the other child ASIN. Now, the other bad news is a ban from advertising typically makes it really difficult for the product to succeed on Amazon at all. So if we were to go in and type in garden, gnome, toilet, just to see if anybody else is triggering an ad, we see the organic ones just fine, but the ad spot did not trigger a grumpy Gramps. You might also get away with a video ad. Man, that's probably what I'd do. I'd probably go for a video ad on this one, because I bet as we scroll down, we might see a video ad trigger. We didn't. You're ranking very well organically on this listing. And as we scroll down, I'm just trying to see if there's any ads. And we saw the 2 here. There's a third. No ads specifically with the toilet seat. So, and then we got a nice rainbow shot there. I don't think you have any competitors that are actively advertising successfully with this one. So Matt, this is one of those situations where you probably are SOL, unfortunately. We also have another $10 sticker coming in from Chesky. Thank you for the donation. Recently seeing items showing up first in search which featured from our brand when it is clearly not Amazon's brand. For example, hemp oil. How is that possible? So I do know what you're talking about. When you go into Amazon and type in a particular random search, you can sometimes see. So I typed in hemp oil to see if I could trigger what you were saying. I did not, but you can see these 4 top hits are all sponsored. In a video I did, I might have released this one yesterday, in fact. I showed that like going for position 3 and 4 is a superior methodology on a tight budget. And in position 1 in that video, it did say featured from our brands. So what you don't know, Chesky, is that Amazon owns probably several hundred brands on Amazon in almost every category and behind the scenes. They may not be public about it, but sometimes they cheat and they put their item in for the first ad spot. And it's not a very fair practice, but they totally do it. But so my thought would be it's most likely actually owned by Amazon. I obviously can't prove that. We don't know for sure. It's going to be all speculation, but more than likely Chesky. So let me know if you got a follow-up question on that one, Chesky, because that was a nice donation. Thank you for that. Let's go. And then we had one other sticker in the queue from Cool Peeps. Happy Friday, right back at you. Hi, Stephen. If I delete my ASIN in the UK marketplace, will that delete my listing in the US marketplace for the same ASIN? Great question. Answer, no. Each product is married to its own country's catalog. So if you make a change in one country, it can affect the other countries, but a deletion would not. And that's because you're just simply removing the data out of the catalog. It doesn't actually remove the product. It just removes the data from being visible. More often than not, you don't want to delete out of the other country, though. And that's because you want to protect yourself from hijackers who submit data to other countries, like a search term hijacker attack, where they'll put in things like cocoa leaves to get your item removed, but they'll do it in Canada to remove your US listing. That can happen. So that's why I usually don't delete them unless you have a problem where there's like an issue with it. How do I find every single keyword and product targeting that I ever used in a giant list? Which report will contain that? Man, that's a good question. The challenge you have is that the search term reports are only 60 days long. So you actually will not be able to export anything longer than 60 days. You would have to do, if you're doing this manually, you would have to download an advertising report that shows all of your campaign data and all the search terms inside of Seller Central. I believe this is possible. More often than not, most people are relying upon third-party data sets to make that happen, and then storing it long-term. So I'm looking at my account right now to see if there is a particular report. And if anybody knows the name of the report that would do this, please post it in the chat here. It's not often I try and go pull a manual advertising report these days. I'm not seeing it on my side, so I'll have to rely upon one of our other advertising experts watching the video right now. We have a lot of keywords and product targeting. How do you make sure you don't duplicate them when I build new campaigns when I optimize? I don't actually think that's a problem. If you show up with, so from an SEO standpoint, if you show up multiple times in the search results with the same keywords, that's actually a good thing. Same concept in PPC. You could, in theory, show up with different products for the same term. Now, Amazon is going to discourage that. They want to see a variety of brands rotated through, but depending on how niche the item is, you could see multiple items from the same brand, especially if it's not like in the top 4. Maybe there might be one in position 3 and one in like position 15, for example. But I get where you're coming from. You're trying to figure out like, hey, I really want this one item pushing this product versus this other. But honestly, I don't think that's the right methodology. I think you're way better off just advertising whatever works for each item, because what would happen is, let's say you have a really good ACOS. Let's say it's 35% ACOS. You're super happy with it, this one particular keyword, and you accidentally launch it on the second product. Well, the second product ends up getting a 25% ACOS on the same keyword. Wouldn't you want that data? Would you then go back and pause the original product that's got a 35% ACOS? Probably not. You'd probably keep both on. You might just put more bid, higher bid, more budget on the one that gets 25% ACOS, right? And so I really don't think you need to worry about crossover of keyword tracking in PPC. Is there a way to track which keywords and products a competitor is advertising on and how much they are bidding? So there's not a way to find out how much they're bidding to the dollar amount or the bid amount, but there is a way to see what position they're in. So if we go over to Cerebro and we look up, a product in Helium 10, I just cleared my cache today. If you haven't cleared your cache on your computer in a long time, let me tell you, there are thousands of websites with cookies on your computer right now. Highly recommend it. Clear that out. So I'm logging into Helium 10 on my off screen right now and getting that taken care of. All right. So I think I'm in the right spot now. I'm going to go over to product. We're going to go into keyword research in Cerebro, share my screen here. And then we're just going to plug in a random ASIN. So we'll go to one of my products. So we'll go to amazon.com/ageofsage. We'll pop in my Mother's Day kit here. Also a good one if you want to buy a Valentine's Day present. And we'll load from history. So in here, you're going to see a couple of cool facts. This is the distribution. And in the distribution, you can see total sponsored keywords and total organic. So right now we're in the off season, so we're lower on ads. But once we get to February 1st, we're going to spike it because we're going to go for those Valentine's Day presents. And in here, you can see how many keywords are advertised on this specific ASIN. So then if you scroll to the right here and you wanted to know like what keywords I think are the most important for my PPC, you could then filter the Helium 10 Cerebro list for anything that I'm in the higher position. So these words on the front screen here, all 50 of these, I'm in position 1 for these 50 keywords when it comes to PPC. That is a great indication that I am converting on those and doing well. So like gift for mom from daughter at 25,000 search volume, I'm only in organic position 265, but I'm in sponsored rank number 1. And that tells you that I'm going to bid aggressively for that. So that's the best way to answer that question. Ruben, happy Friday to you as well. All right, so we're going to the member questions at the top here. Steve says, hi, Steven, happy New Year. How long should it take for increasing the indexing for organic keywords once the A+ content and backend? Been 2 weeks, see no change. You should see, if it's going from blank to filling something in, you should see an immediate change. We're talking 48 hours. If you're not seeing a change after something's been implemented after 48 hours, there could be a technical problem or something causing that to not index properly. So maybe you have the same issue as our GNOME guy and it's like marked an adult category or something weird like that. Maybe the category ID is blank. All of those things could cause problems. The other thing too, Steve, is don't forget when you're pulling in that Helium 10 report, you do want to refresh it. And there are ways to actually add to the monitoring, right? Like you can track the keywords over time, not just pull up a manual report, but actually track and see like how they're doing on a daily basis. I do recommend utilizing that feature. And by the way, if you guys want to get 50% off Helium 10, I'll post a code into the chat. And if you sign up, you'll buy me a Chipotle burrito. So thank you in advance. We are big fans of Helium 10. There's just nothing as powerful as their keyword data, in my opinion. All right, so let's go to the next one. What's your thought? What's your one thing you're going to stop, continue doing in 2022 for your company? All right, so this is one of the questions I typically ask in my management. So very culture-centered question here. Like when you're trying to figure out like how to make progress in a company, these are 3 great questions. What is something that you're doing that you should stop doing? What is something that you're doing that you should do more of? And what is something that you're not doing that you need to start doing, right? These are 3 great questions. And so for my company at My Amazon Guy, we launched a new sales outbound team for the first time. We've grown tremendously, 2x, 3 years in a row, more than that. And we did that all through referral base and YouTube videos. And now we're starting to do outbound outreach. So we're reaching people who've never heard of My Amazon Guy before, right? And I like to think of myself as a household name in the seller community, but in reality, there are probably 30,000 Amazon sellers who've never heard of My Amazon Guy. And so we're sending postcards, we're sending them video contact points. That's something I'm going to start doing. The thing that I would like to continue doing is investing in my culture. We've had tremendous success. Like this is a great example. Let me pull this up. So somebody this morning built out this really silly video, which I'll pull up on screen here. So let me share my screen and we'll take that off. So this is a video with a little bit of music. And that's just really silly, right? Like why, like this is an actual product on Amazon that one of our tech savvy guys, like, you know, put some mouth movement on and some sound. Pretty silly, right? Like this is the culture of my Amazon guy and it's incredible. This is an actual client we have. And the joke on the product reviews for this product have always been like, hey, does the dude come with the monkey? Right. And so, and this is the sort of stuff that we're going to continue doing at my Amazon guy. There's so much culture investment that we've been doing. I'm very, very proud about that. We hire for competency. We're always looking for more people. If you want to send a resume over to Jobs at my Amazon guy, we'd love to see it. Many people watch our videos for months and then they send us a resume and they're like, yeah, we've already watched 20 of your videos. We really want to work for you. And we love that stuff. It's fantastic. One thing that I'll stop doing, I'm gonna stop being lazy and get my 10,000 steps in a day. That's a personal goal, I know, but man, it's been rough coming out of the being sick in December. It was just crazy. So I'm gonna start doing more of that. Ruben asks, thank you for the sticker here. Is there a way you will recommend to structure the images on the detail page? Main, lifestyle, infographic, or will it depend on the category and a product? So 3 days ago, we did a video with PickFu, Ruben, and we very much addressed this question over a 15-minute conversation segment. It's a very good video to watch after this with PickFu. And the long and the short is you need to test it. You need to see what the consumer is looking for. Like, where does their eye go, right? And so if we look at a listing, I think that showing a really good main image that showcases as much as possible about the product is critical. But the secondary images, there's a lot of contested debate. Now, one of the ASIN reviews that we've got queued up, there's not even a picture of a person. We'll talk about that ASIN review today. And if you don't have a people person, then this question is irrelevant, right? You got to start with the basics and get humanization going, right, into the listing. But in any case, how should you order it? Let's say you've got 6 great shots. Like, which one should come first? I think that your target demographic shot needs to go in slot number 2, right? So showing a picture of a mom, showing women, very, very important on this listing, and emphasizing that. But we also want to showcase that, like, hey, there's a lifestyle element to it, and just kind of push some of that. And these are, you know, Photoshop, so they're weaker images. So we put them on the bottom towards the bottom. This one's a little bit stronger, kind of showcases because it's a real setup of like, hey, throw this into the bathroom and enjoy that. Infographic, which shows everything that comes with it. I think the infographic shot probably is middle of the road. Like, having the infographic to explain the features and what comes with the product is generally not going to be your second shot, because your second shot should be demographic settings, right? We have a really good photo guide. I'll post this in the chat here. So I'm going to type in, every time I'm trying to find one of my own assets, I always go to Google and I type in my Amazon guy plus one of the things I'm looking for. So, because it's really hard to find. You put out 1,000 pieces of content. It's like, how do you refind it? So this is a video guide. We put this out in 2018. It's still topical today. And it's a full photo guide rather. And it showcases like what kind of shots to take and, you know, how to make them work, right? And the kind of shots. And I'll scroll down to this, you know, you got a 2000 by 2000 shot. You need JPEG, 7 photos per item, all that good stuff. Replace the 7th photo with a video whenever possible. You need brand registry for that. But I think the kind of shots you should shoot when you're like ordering some new photos, you need front, back, all those classic shots, really close up, maybe a group shot, maybe a lifestyle where you put it in the context of where it's going to be seen. But most importantly, you need the shots of people using your product. That is the most important shot you can get, is people using your product. And that's why I think that needs to go in slot number 2. Now, with all of that said, go run a PickFu click test and see where the consumer is clicking, where they think the most important photo is, and reorder your secondary images based on those results, and you won't lose with that. All right, so let's scroll back to the top here. Thank you again for that question, Ruben. Really good question there. Jeffrey asks, is it possible to have reviews removed that are not a verified purchase? Yes. Generally, what we do, we have a product review removal guide we like to use, where we've got some copy paste things. And by the way, this is like a 3% chance you can get it removed, very, very low. And I'm looking for my guide on this one right now off screen. I'll show you like how I'm like trying to find. So product review my Amazon guide, and then all my video testimonials show up. So this is a harder one to find in my articles section. How to remove a negative product review. I think this is the one we're looking for. Yeah. All right. So in here, we've got a template built, the review type and response. You could literally just copy and paste it. And our go-to selection is be helpful and relevant, and use that exact phrase because that's in the community guidelines. And sometimes a competitor leaves one. Sometimes the wrong product is addressed. It's not even the right product. And here's an unverified one right there. So I'll put this in the chat there for you, Jeffrey. So product review removal guide. And I'll put the exact quote we do. Getting a little lag from the comment section right now, trying to paste that over, but we'll paste that in there. And then here's some shots on like how we type it in and how we get it done. And you gotta post the actual product review link. So you got to click into that when you file these tickets. It's kind of a core part of that process. All right. So we got a lot of future members asking questions in the chat here. I'm going to prioritize the member questions first. Vasil says, should you get your design patents on new products? Do most sellers sell without patents? So Basil, this is a question of finance, most likely, because intellectual property defense is going to cost $20,000, right? Like a good patent, a defensible patent, it's significantly more expensive than a trademark. So if you're not even investing 20 grand into the product to begin with, I would not file a patent. Now, there's going to be some super engineer listening in that will contest that and have a very strong opinion for reasons. And to their credit, there's probably exceptions to what I'm saying. In general, the standard Amazon seller doesn't need a patent. They just need to go and get a trademark and file out all of the basic information. We do sell trademarks at My Amazon Guide. It's our most popular a la carte service. And you can get brand registered in under 7 days. It's January. Never been a better time to launch a new brand on Amazon, I might add. Don't hesitate to launch a second brand name, just to park it and sit on it until you're ready to launch that product. Just getting that brand registered, because it takes 6 months for the trademark to technically go live, but you can get brand registered in under 7 days with a pending mark. And so I highly recommend that. But patents, I'm not a patent expert on this question. I generally would refer you to a patent attorney to ask them when it makes sense to patent something. Because I don't think you can patent things like sliced bread. But if you have a new feature or function of an item that's earth-shattering, it might be worth it. Last question. Do you create a new campaign every time you optimize for PPC and throw all the profitable keywords and product targeting in them? Cheers, big man. So yes and no. It depends, right? So if I really like how a keyword's doing, I never remove it, never negate it from a campaign, right? So we talked Better AMS earlier this week, where we did a podcast and we asked this very question: should you negate a good keyword from auto? Absolutely not. You want to keep those keywords wherever they're doing well and keep them together. But when you have a good keyword that you want to isolate for whatever your purpose might be and pull it out to its own campaign and add more bids and budget, absolutely do those things. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't create new campaigns with the same keywords, like the exact same. I would only do it to isolate some strategies down or segment them more. Customer always orders our product A via FBA, now ordered product B by mistake. Returned product B, indicated she received the wrong item. Amazon gave us an NCX hit. How best to handle? So in small isolations, this is not a problem, Jeff. You don't need to really worry about it. Once it hits 4%, that's when it becomes a problem. And then Amazon will close the listing temporarily. Here's how that works. First time they close it, you can just reopen it, no problem. Second time they close it, you may be able to just reopen it. They might ask a question or two. Third time it happens, though, in a 6-month standpoint, they will request a plan of action. The listing will be closed until it's filled in, and that can be very challenging. So it's called the voice of the customer. Here's my actual result. So I don't have anything in the very poor section. Sometimes my items get checked into the wrong section. That's where my problems come in. In your case, it's just a user behavior, but a user behavior problem, generally speaking, only an issue in a very small quantity. So you don't generally have to worry about this. But until you've got like 4%, where you've got a challenge like NCX rate at 4% with the number of orders, this sort of thing will not affect you. It's not something you need to worry about. And even if something is in the very poor section, there's actually no proactive work you can do. It's just pure numbers that Amazon makes that judgment call on. So you can't do anything yet, I don't think. We ordered these nice mugs for all of our clients this year when we sent out our Christmas presents. I got to tell you, this thing keeps ice cold for like 14 hours. It's crazy. So don't hesitate to become a My Amazon Guy client. We'll send you out some cool swag. Osa says, sending new product to Amazon in polybag. No box. Products consist of several parts sold as a set. Decoration paper for parties. How will Amazon calculate the FBA fees, storage fees for it? All right, good question. So I'm trying to visualize this. I don't have like a bag behind me. Well, I got a garbage sack. We'll just use this, right? So imagine that this was your item. And inside of this item, you have various different items. So no matter what's in this bag, if this bag is 6 inches long and 4 inches tall, even if there's no item in the corner here, it's just a flap, they will most likely measure it like that. And so your fees are going to be higher if you have a bag that is larger than the item. It will be the size of the bag usually. Now you can fight that. You can try and like give them a measurement. You can like, try and pack it tighter and send them a picture of your measuring stick right next to your product. But more than likely, you're going to lose that fight. So, at the end of the day, you're probably going to be at $3.50 with an item similar like that. If it's heavier, then different question. But really not a big problem, generally speaking, OSIS. But that's probably what you're going to experience. Let me know how I did on that answer. I'm not sure if I addressed specifically what you're looking for. What's the best way to protect my new product idea and design from somebody to copy it and sell it on Amazon? I already have a trademark for it. So this kind of ties into the patent question we were previously talking about. And it's definitely something that you're going to want to do if you're trying to prevent other sellers. If you want to be the only one selling something, a patent is definitely needed. Other than that, you really can't prevent people from showing up at all. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the marketplace. You might have a good idea, but if somebody can replicate it, and the Chinese always do, they're gonna produce it for less cost. Just what happens here. So by the way, guys, we have a new Amazon channel, YouTube channel that is called ASIN Review with my Amazon guy. I posted this in the chat already. And if you guys ever want us to do like a 15-minute audit on one of your reviews or one of your ASINs, you can ask us for that, and we'll do a very thorough job of looking at your ASIN. We're obviously doing this to earn business, and we're sending these out right now to actual real-world clients. You can check those out there. See if anything you can learn from those ASIN reviews. All right. If I stop selling a variation of a product for a year, is it better to close that ASIN or leave it in inactive out-of-stock status? Probably no difference on those. What I would do is generally I would close the listing, but after the review period has expired, the return period has expired, because once an item gets returned, even 30 days later, you can still get that sell again. So I would leave it open until then. But yeah, if you're going to be out of stock for a year, I'd probably close it. Can H10 ask for reviews from customers just like Jungle Scout? Yes. Jungle Scout and Helium 10 have very similar tools. I think Helium just has a little bit more enterpriser feel to it, some additional features, but I'm a big fan of both. I speak at both conferences and whatnot. Have you ever heard of a seller support saying they are not accepting applications when the category backpacks isn't gated or restricted? Not specifically on backpacks, but we have seen this from time to time on like face masks and automotive and those kinds of challenges. But Jeff, if you file tickets and just ask for approval, sometimes you'll get skirted in. The other thing you can do, Jeff, is use an Amazon sales rep who can get you into the category and get you manually approved. And so we do that from our clients from time to time. Trying to add those products on SC when they're already sold on VC. So I'm not sure what the question is here, but sometimes the data will conflict and you have to manage the data through VC after it's added on SC. And that can be challenging. A lot of probably the most complicated data problems happen from vendor central data. I'm launching a new product in seasonal keywords like Mother's Day gifts, like you advised. How can I control my tacos in order not to take away from all the profits? My profit margin is 40%. So I generally recommend anywhere from 11 to 14% tacos. Last year we were saying 11. This year we're probably saying 12 to 14. And that's just because costs have just gone up a lot. COGS, cost of advertising went up 35% last year. All those reasons, I'm suggesting that. But what you can do, Abdallah, is just make sure that you're advertising on keywords when they're seasonally spiking in the gift category. Make sure you've got all of your ads set up when those things spike, because when they do, they become extraordinarily profitable. No special questions today. How about a super tip of the day for the small one-man business people? P.S. Happy New Year. I did a coaching call this week with somebody who used to be a client more than a year ago. They were coming back. They were telling me how stressed out they were. They were behind on bills and couldn't even pay their manufacturers, and just really stressed out individual. It was a great coaching session. And by the way, if you ever want to hire us for a coaching session, we have these on demand. And you can just book a single coaching session. Just go to myamazonguy.com, click the coaching icon. We have over 6 coaches available, even a Spanish one, catalog problems, vendor central experts, advertising expert, and all of that good stuff. So, but what I would say for your tip of the day today, you really need to get something actioned on your account once a week, right? So like, just make sure that once a week you're doing something proactive and new on your account that you didn't do previously. So if you haven't looked at your search engine optimization in a while, haven't updated those titles, maybe you haven't run a pick food test on some imagery, maybe you haven't done a copy rewrite, all of those things. In January, this is the month of product dev. Number one month for sourcing new products is January, because you just finished your busy Q4. You're looking like, okay, what else can I add to my catalog this year and get it sourced and be ready for the next big Q4 push? And so, number one way to grow sales on Amazon is to add more product. Number two, advertise more, spend more money. And so if you do those things, you'll consistently grow the account. So that's my tip for you today, David, is do something this week you haven't done in the past 3 months. And it's probably going to be product sourcing or adding something to your listing that you haven't done yet. Is Amazon all about good converting offer and proper PPC and SEO push for traffic? Yes. I feel very strongly that the two components of traffic are PPC and SEO, and the two components of conversion are design and catalog management. And there's obviously strong tie-ins and synergies between these 4 sections. But at the end of the day, if you have a good converting item, you need to go get that traffic. And if your conversion rate is higher than 20%, you are leaving sales on the table. You need to go out and spend more on ads if your conversion rate is too high, because otherwise you're leaving sales on the table. All right, so we got a couple more member questions, and then we got some future member questions in the queue. Steve says, can we still put a customer satisfaction or full money back bullet on our listing? You can, but there is a modest risk in some categories. We've seen certain categories get more of a pushback from some category managers. They'll send warnings to some consumers, or some sellers rather, and they will send suppression notifications. In general, we think this is still within terms and conditions, but some categories are pushing it out. I haven't seen any news or haven't seen any real big pushes on this in the last 6 months. Probably safe to do right now, Steve, in my opinion. I don't think it resonates with the consumer anymore. It's kind of like saying paraben free on a beauty product. Well, of course, every product on Amazon is basically paraben free, et cetera, et cetera. So those kinds of features or those languages generally don't matter at all to the consumer. They already know they can return something to Amazon. They do it every single day. All right, scrolling down to see if we have any other member questions in the queue. What's the link to file for a trademark? We'll post that one in the chat here. There you go, Crystal. And what about thickness or the height of some units are thick, others inside the polybag? So they're going to take the thickest item on that OSA. So they're going to take whatever the largest, widest, thickest, and they're going to take the sum total of the weight on that. That's how they're going to calculate that out. You lost your train of thought and you didn't finish the story about the stressed out former customer. We're interested. All right. So, so I gave him a nice pep talk and I said, hey, we went through the 3 questions. It's like what do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to continue doing? And then I asked them about how, what was the number one thing that was stressing them out? And their answer was, managing people and managing finance. And I said, cool, you need to hire somebody to take that off your plate. Because at the end of the day, what they wanted to do was to design more products and source more products. They were a design background. They loved launching products. They had 700 SKUs on their account, active, and 1,200 they've ever made. And so whenever you're really happy doing something, you need to continue doing that and delegate the rest. So as you're starting this year, just think about what could you delegate off of your plate? Whatever that first thing that came to your mind was, get that off your plate. Pay somebody, pay an expert, outsource it, get it off your plate, hire somebody internally, externally, doesn't matter. Whatever you are stressed out by, you want to delegate that out and do the things that make you happy. It's like spending time doing your hobby, and then you'll do your best work. All right. So those are all of our member questions in the queue. We've got another 50 questions or so from future members, and we'll try and pick some of the good ones out here. Can I use a pending UK trademark to get brand registry in the US? Nope, unfortunately can't. You will still need a US pending trademark. Once the UK trademark finishes, though, you can use that for US trademark or brand registry. You can't use a trademark from another country to get a hijacker removed in a different country. So if you have a UK trademark, you can't remove a US-based hijacker with a UK trademark, though. So keep that in mind. This is why we added the Canadian trademark service as part of our offering, because we had a lot of Canadian hijacker problems. What's the average conversion you expect when you launch your product with 0 reviews? Is it smart to keep spending tons of PPC and wait for reviews? I would highly recommend that you spend PPC even on a 0 review product. And that is because you have to get off the ground somehow. And yes, the first product review will increase your conversion rate 2x. So get that first product review by any means necessary. Read between the lines on that comment. But the first 20 reviews generally need to be from advertising most of the time. You can use Vine, although a lot of categories aren't good fits for Vine. If it's a complicated product, Vine doesn't do too well. Supplements, Vine usually doesn't do too well either. Which email address domain should I be using when filing for a trademark, brand or company domain? This doesn't matter at all, Moz. You're going to get a little bit of public domain spam. So, you can choose whichever one you want to do on that. But at the end of the day, I would say if the company would ever sell one of the brands, let's say you got 4 brands, you might sell brand number 1. I would file the trademark under that brand domain. But this is super easy. Only cost you a couple $100 to send a trademark from one source to another owner, or change the email. Not a big deal. What if your first review is 3 stars or below? That one sucks. You're kind of dead in the water on that, unfortunately. Very, very difficult. Zane asks, where can we find clients? So from one agency to another consultant on this question. Depends on where you're at in the process. It's not me against you. It's us against Amazon. So I always share things like this. We get our clients bestly from referrals and our YouTube channel. We're now trying to go out and email new customers and send postcards and a bunch of other things. But I would say international consultants, your best place is going to be Upwork or other Fiverr type platforms. Is it true to say that organic traffic converts better than PPC traffic? Yes, 100%. Because if somebody finds your listing organically speaking, they're usually lower on the SERPs, and they've gone farther down to find your product. Their buyer intent is higher. So, for example, when you first land on a particular search page, all of the search results are ads, and so you have to scroll down to find the organic. So let's demonstrate that. So if we look here, if I type in funny wine glass, all of these are ads. I think that one's mine right there. And so you have to scroll down to get the organic listings. And so buyer intent is higher, conversion rate will be higher for any traffic the farther down somebody goes. So that's why that matters. All right. I am an Amazon VA. Yep. You want to go for those Upwork type platforms, most likely, or take a full time role at an agency. Those are also great ways to do it. Should I do Amazon live videos for my Amazon influencer account or for my Amazon brand account? Both. I would mix it up, man. I would do both. For those that haven't done an Amazon live before, pull out an iPhone and test it out. You have to download an app for that. How do you deal with the PPC of low profit margin products like no space for decent tacos? Um, you really have to go strong organic listing for those particular products. And relevancy and isolated keyword targeting, top of search, bid modifiers might be your best friend as well. There's a lot of different things you can do to try and manage ACoS, but if you're struggling, chances are there's going to be a challenge or a reason that will continue that struggle for a longer period of time. So you want to go for those organic changes. We got a new sticker coming in from Ruben again. Thank you, Ruben. Bullet points. What do you suggest to have concise, direct, on point for easy to read, directed to consumers? Or you give edge on longer bullet points that does not include many keywords. So Ruben, think about the buyer journey, the buyer intent right now. So like I'm a consumer. I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to do most of my Amazon searching from my phone. So I go into the shopping app like this. I type in the product. So I want to look for a funny wine glass and I type that in, right? So my consumer behavior, I'm going to go to the funny wine glass just like this. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on an item. I'm going to look at the item, but notice how my top of my phone, I don't even see the bullet points. What does the consumer do? They just do this. They just start scrolling photo, like this. So what you need to do, Ruben, is write the content or the bullets for the robots. Don't keyword stuff too much, but keep in mind that you do need to. And then keep the images as the way to sell to the consumer what will actually be viewed. And so with that in mind, your secondary images have never been more important, which is why you need to run testing on them to see like what's going to perform the best. And so on the images, each image needs to have a 5-second message. What am I trying to convey with this image? If you have two competing messages, message one, message two, on the same image, you probably need to separate those out into two different images. For example, you wouldn't want to have an image that talks about the location of which the item is made in the same image of something that talks about the features of the item and why it's the coolest gift ever, right? Those things don't jive together. Now, if you're sourcing ingredients from a particular country, obviously that's all bets are off. You'd have a different way to address that. Maybe sourcing the ingredients from a particular country of origin is why that makes it stronger. All that good stuff would apply. But in shorts, Ruben, I would make long bullet points on Amazon because longer bullet points will have higher SEO traffic. The consumers are generally not reading the bullet points anymore. They're going to read the reviews instead of the bullet points. They're going to go down to the questions and answers to see if this item solves the problem they're looking for. Now, each category a little bit different and unique. Giftable categories, they're not going to read anything. They're just going to look at the image and make a purchase, right? But other items like supplements, they're like, what does the supplement do to my body? They're going to read a bunch of stuff, right? So each item a little bit different, but definitely go longer on text. I recommend high amounts of text in your A+ content as well. I'm on the record repeatedly stating that Amazon does index the copy on your listings. In fact, they index the A+ content, which is why when you look at my A+ content, you're going to see massive amounts of copy, because I want to index for as many keywords as possible. My favorite product module is the product grid, where you can add additional items to your cart, increase your average order value. Each photo will have keywords behind the photo. If you inspect it, look at the HTML, you can see you have different keywords like charcoal and citrus and lush and scrub, and all those things are behind each photo because those even index. You can test this yourself at home. Go put Spanish behind one photo's alt text, and within 48 hours, you will see it index for Spanish terms. This is assuming you haven't put Spanish anywhere else before. It totally works. Try it yourself. So text generally good. Welcome to our newest member, Alt Mims. and we'll see if we got your question. Yep, we got your question in queue here next. What's the best way to replenish inventory with an updated product, newer version, same product? So a lot of theory to talk through here. Number one, Amazon has the way to have a new ASIN where you can say, hey, this is the new version of ASIN 1. This is ASIN 2. So we'll do numbers and fingers here. So ASIN 1, you're gonna put up the connection to ASIN 2, pushing traffic from ASIN 1 to ASIN 2. So that would be an ideal way to do it. A lot of people will just upgrade the same original ASIN, and then they'll just make a change once they get low on stock. So one of the things you can do if you're going to do that methodology, same ASIN methodology, is you would create a second SKU with the new inventory. FN SKU labels are required for this strategy. Can't just use UPC codes. And you're going to ship into the second SKU, but close it. Wait for the sellout of the first SKU, flip the second SKU live, change the entire listing to talk about how you've upgraded the product. That's a valid strategy. If you're going to use two SKUs, which is totally fine, connect them using Amazon's new feature icon. Also, you want to consider parenting them so that the reviews will show up on the second ASIN and that you'll get some cursory passover. Once the first SKU is stocked out, the second SKU needs to be able to take that velocity as quickly as possible and generate those orders. It does generally take some time to make a transfer like that. So there's a bunch of theory behind that. That should give you a good start. In general, I recommend new ASIN, different SKU, and transfer with parentage. That's generally like my highest level on that. All right, so let's go. How involved are you personally with current customers? I'm a full service customer. Yes, hey, Samson. So the day-to-day is managed by our account management team. So we have a full client management package, and we have an account director that oversees what we call the husk. So we have 160 full service brands. I am obviously not logging into all these accounts myself. I have a full team of 130 people to do it. We have an account director who oversees 40 accounts, an account manager who will oversee anywhere from 8 to 10 accounts, and Amazon specialists who oversee 4 of those paired with the account manager. Somewhere around that math is generally what checks out. Obviously, different accounts, more sophistication, some less than others. And so if you ever need to pull me in, if you ever have a concern, don't hesitate to send an email over to me. But generally speaking, the account director is kind of our first level of escalation. Then it goes to me. It's actually, I don't get too many client interactions these days because I'm more focused on the marketing and culture and the building. I spend most of my time trying to train my employees, talent acquire, and market the company. So that's really where I hang my hat. I have hired a really great team, though, and you can see our leadership team over at My Amazon Guy. If you're curious, just click on the leadership icon. So we've got Nick Naito, who is our CTO, and he's an MIT grad, holds a master's degree in engineering. He's building out our tech. We got Vice President Dustin Fenton. This is a recent promotion, actually, just this past Monday. Dustin's been with me for more than 2 years and started out as an Amazon specialist. Great guy. And so he handles all of our operation needs. And then we have 4 account directors as well as an advertising director. We have a really fantastic team. You can see all of them. And then my father's on here if you want to meet him. If you want to become a client or ask questions about how we can help your services, you can talk to my father, Dan Pope, as well. So, and we got Francisco down in Mexico, so we even can take on Spanish clients as well, all brand new. All right, so let's scroll down and see what else we got in the queue here. And I'm coming up on a hard stop in 10 minutes. Yes, I agree. You have a great team. Thank you, Samson. Appreciate that. So I'm going to scroll through and see if any future member questions we can go to. Sometimes when we do Cerebro of ASINs, we haven't seen our Xray Run keyword. I'm not sure how to answer this question, but sometimes Cerebro's data is you need to rerun it. How do we stop Amazon's warehouse from selling our FBA product in use condition, returned items because it's causing negative reviews? Inside of the FBA settings of the back end of Seller Central, you can disable repackaging. They just changed the UI on this. It's a little bit different. I believe I put out a video on this one recently, but let's see if I can do this fast. So inside of Fulfillment by Amazon settings, you're going to come to this section and you're looking for the setting that prevents them from repackaging. So I think this was the section you're looking for. So unfulfillables. and recovery options. And so do you want them to refurbish? You want to disable this one. I think this is the setting you are looking for. What's the minimum budget required for a new product launch on Amazon, in your opinion, for 2022? About $2,500 would be my minimum, Patrick. Some categories can get away with less, obviously, but I would say 2,500 is a pretty good amount. What's the average conversion you expect to get when you launch your product on PPC with 0 reviews? Probably around 6%. And once you get that first review, it goes up to 8 to 10%. And then dependingly up until you get 20 reviews. But the average conversion over time is somewhere between 8 and 12%. So probably the numbers I gave initially might be a little bit high. But 20 reviews, once you get to 20 reviews, pretty much the same. What if someone has advanced theoretical knowledge of Amazon, but not fully practical? Can they apply for jobs? Yes, we've got internships. Just send your resume over to recruiting@myamazonguy.com if you're international. We'll get you hooked up with some of our internship options. How long will you accept an overall loss on an item to gain rank before optimizing for profit? Up to 3 months, David. 3 months is generally where you got to pull the trigger on that. Obviously, you want to see it much quicker, but 3 months is like the line in the sand. What's your take on going for electronics niche, especially for building our brand from the start of the year? The problem with electronics is it's super competitive, high PPC costs, and you have lookalike items that do the same features. So you got price pressure. So those are the challenges with that. If you have a solution to those challenges, like you got a really cool item and nobody else has it, then by all means, it's a great niche for you. We are a brand registered. Which campaign is best for newly launched products, sponsored product, or brand? Sponsored product, 80% of your budget should go to sponsored product. A new account, new campaign, new brand, 95% should go to sponsored product. Hope you're doing well. Sometimes when we do Cerebro of ASINs, we haven't seen our main keyword on when we run Xray. So still not sure how to answer that question particularly. But if you're saying you're not indexing, it's just not even showing up, then make sure you have an exact match of that showing on the listing. I think that'd be very, very beneficial. And let's go down to the list here. What's the best way to replenish inventory with an updated product, newer version? All right, yeah, so we addressed that one. And we got a bunch of spam in the chat today, so I'm going to block some of the user spam. If you guys see that, feel free to flag it. All right, we got a question coming in from Facebook from Jesse. Do you have any resources for specifics and logistics on running multiple Amazon accounts with multiple entities? Yes. Yes, I do. So, Jesse, the number one thing you're going to want to do is make sure you got your OTP Chrome extension. This is going to be a big hack. If you haven't done this one yet, oh my gosh, this is like $1,000 of free advice for you right here. So this will save you a bunch of time, Jesse. So OTP, check out that article. We walked through how to set up an OTP Chrome extension, soup to nuts with that. So that's the first thing you need to do. Second thing I would do is I would look for multiple accounts, My Amazon Guy, straight into Google here, and you'll see how we've gotten approved for multiple accounts, how to open and manage multiple accounts. We've been on the Quiet Light Brokerage podcast where we talk about this. I have playlists after playlists and video after video on how to run all of these things. From a legal standpoint, I would do a roll-up company. So you got like your holding company up at the top, and then I would shoot out either LLCs or through your S Corp some smaller components of the same holding company. So that's what I would do, Jesse. You may benefit from having a coaching call with me too. I might add a lot of things to look out for. Is there any chance of activation? Amazon didn't reply to my appeal since August. Account is deactivated since April. US account is active only. UK and EU account deactivated. Yeah, I think as long as you have the US activated, I would still fight for Europe. Abdallah, I would just continue putting in an appeal and ask for reinstatement, and make sure you've identified the reason that that listing or that account went down. We do help with listing reinstatements as well as suspensions on accounts. If you get stuck and you've got some cash to burn to hire us to do it, go over to myamazonguy.com, click on suspensions or listing reinstatements, depending on which one you need. We'll help you out with that. Do I need to meet any listening so you take straight to the price, not ask for go for pool? Should I meet? I have no idea how to answer that. They asked two more questions. What is the source of your inventory? Who will benefit from the profits of your sales on Amazon? So I have my own sourcing that I do. Most of mine is domestic. I don't like dealing with China directly myself. What is the budget PPC you think may be required to enter into the bed sheet and towel niche? So this is kind of going to be average run of the mill, probably 80 cents per click, in my opinion. Could be wrong on that. Might be a little soft, but at least 80 cents a click, most likely. I would still think 2,500 bucks to get it off the ground. Tried to upgrade from individual to professional, but Amazon deactivated my account. Said you incorrectly selected individual legal entity when you are registered. My account is Italy based. So this should be easily fixed, Abdallah. So what I would do is I'd go into those account settings and try and push that a little bit more, and make sure you put in the legal entity correctly when you fill that out. It is a case sensitive and exact match. Very, very important. All right, so let's keep scrolling, looking for some additional questions in the queue. There's a lot to choose from. Question coming in from LinkedIn. Ayesha says, hello, sir. I have a question about auto campaign. Is it best or manual? So my answer to that is all of the above. Make sure you run all of them. When you launch a new product, you need to run all of the campaign types, not just auto. Don't just run auto and then convert them over to product campaigns like you see in a lot of the training courses. You need to have manual keywords ahead of time, because the auto campaigns more often than not take a couple of weeks to come online. The manual campaigns could work day one. So your honeymoon period, first couple of weeks on Amazon, you need to hit them with manual from that standpoint. What's the best way to find a client on LinkedIn? Agency question here. You're just gonna have to reach out cold and create lots of content. That's what I would do. Why are some FBA items taking months to ship? That's because Amazon's facilities are behind. If you have your inventory into multiple locations, multiple FBA facilities, you'll be way better off. I want to ask, what do you do when you have advanced knowledge but not? Okay, we did that one. Can check out the brand. We didn't get to the ASIN review. Man, there's so many questions in queue today. Sorry, I didn't have time to get to the ASIN review today. We'll try and get as many of these lightning round as we can. Check out the brand Green Eye for hemp oil. Do you think it is an Amazon brand? It is impossible for me to confirm that, Chesky. Strong chance it is. What strategy should we follow for those products that have low price but suggested bids are very high? You're going to have to win on SEO 100% of the time. I've seen some listings that say lowest price in 30 days. I've made many sales at one price, but just lowered, didn't show that. This is an optional field that shows up if you filled in the list price field of your item. Make sure that field is filled in, Brett. In terms of the price, you have to lower it down at least 10%. 20 will probably more than likely trigger it. Going back to Matthew's questions here, fighting a shipment error. If Amazon checked in most but not all cases, they're asking for proof of pickup from UPS. UPS never scanned the 51 cases. There's nothing UPS can do. I have a packing list for my 3PL. Doesn't seem to cut it. Any recommendations? So did you use a partnered carrier, Matt? If not, you are SOL. Amazon won't do a thing for you. Always, always, always use a partnered carrier for LTL and USPS case shipments. Now, if you use a USPS partner carrier printout from Amazon's shipping components and you drop them off at UPS and they never scan them, that's a problem. And that needs to be addressed with the pickup, with the proof of pickup from UPS. Because if they've never scanned it to begin with, then that is a problem directly with UPS. So big challenge. Sorry you experienced that, Matt. And then, all right, so this is going to be our last question today. Nico asks, and thank you for the donation, Nico. Hey, Steven, just sending over some support for the new year. Got my mom an Age of Sage gift for Christmas. She's a fan. Well, thank you very much, Nico. I appreciate that. I had lots of fun today. If you want to share your own appreciation, just write thanks into the comments section. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm, even if you don't have a question. We'll throw you on the screen here in the last 30 seconds. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. It's my pleasure to add back to the community. Obviously, there is some bias here or selfishness. I know that eventually many of you will become clients and help us out or hire us for trademarks and A+ content or a coaching call here and there. But at the very end of the day, even if you don't do that, just adding a comment, that makes me feel good. Matthew says, thank you very much, Stephen. You're very welcome. Sylvia says, thank you. Nancy says, thank you. And Abdul, says, thank you, Stephen. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. Check us out every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time right here on youtube.com/My Amazon Guy. It was my pleasure talking to you guys today. You guys have a